Seb. Seb says hello. Have we met before? Option 1 of 2 Hello again, Seb. It's been a long time. Option 2 of 2 Joseph Hubner. You're looking hearty, even after all this time. Option 1 of 2 Hello again, Seb. It's been a long time. Seb says oh, Andreas, the artist. From years back. I barely recognized you. Casper says Master Mailer is a very renowned painter, don't you know? Option 1 of 4 yes. Seb, meet my apprentice, Casper Ziegler. Option 2 of 4 I am not so sure about that. I just do what little I'm able. Option 3 of 4 nod solemnly. Option 4 of 4 be quiet, Casper. Option 1 of 4 yes. Seb, meet my apprentice, Casper Ziegler. Seb says pleasure. Now don't mind me, I don't hear much of what happens outside Tassing. Besides, we didn't talk much back then. You were always busy running back and forth between the Abbey and Gertner's. Option 1 of 2 I guess that's true. Option 2 of 2 it was a hectic time, and it didn't get any easier when the murder took place. Player says how have you been doing? The family is well, Seb says as well as can be expected in these times. Heilwig's good and healthy. Simon, my son, is growing like a beast. You've heard what Otto has to say, haven't you? The Abbey's taxing us to death, restricting what we can do in the woods. Christ, we can't even pray at the shrine anymore. It's obscene, you understand? We get a harsh winter and people are going to die. Casper says is it really that bad? Seb says very bad. Option 1 of 3 but if all of you begin to cause trouble, it'll get even worse. Option 2 of 3 that is just how God has ordained life on this world. Option 3 of 3 life is never easy, Casper. You take that lesson to heart. Option 1 of 3 but if all of you begin to cause trouble, it'll get even worse. Seb says how much worse can it get? If we're given no choices, we have to create some. Lives depend on it. Option 1 of 4 but if the Duke sends his soldiers against you, it will be a bloodbath. Option 2 of 4 I just hope you're not mistaken. Option 3 of 4 if you say so. Option 4 of 4 I remain unconvinced. Option 3 of 4 if you say so, Seb. Seb says I say so. I've griped enough. In the end it's action that counts. What brought you back here anyway, Andreas? Option 1 of 2 I came to pay my respects to my friend, Brother Pierrot. Option 2 of 2 I was on my way home to Nuremberg. Tassing's on the path. Option 1 of 2 I came to pay my respects to my friend, Brother Pierrot. Seb says one of the monks, I suppose you knew them better than most. Enjoy your stay in our little town. It hasn't changed too much otherwise. Option 1 of 3 it has. More than you realize. Option 2 of 3 it has and it hasn't, I suppose. Option 3 of 3 no, not much at all. Option 1 of 3 it has. More than you realize. Seb says HMH. Oh, of course. The construction of the Rathaus is new. And the Golden Hand didn't exist when you were last here. Option 1 of 2 just so. Option 2 of 2 that's not exactly what I meant, but yes, you're right. Seb says Can't really notice changes when you live in them, can you? Alright, enough talk. I got to return to the family, God watch over you both. Andreas. Casper. Player says until later, Seb. Casper says bye. Otto. Ulrich says God bless you, Andreas. Player says God bless you, Ulrich. How have you been? Ulrich says the Lord has been kinder to me than the peasants. These are difficult times for them, Andreas. They could use your help. Option 1 of 2 my help? How? Option 2 of 2 I don't really want to get involved. Option 1 of 2 my help? How? Ulrich says talk to the abbot. He may respect your opinion more than mine or the peasants. I would have hoped he could see that his behavior is not Christian, but something is clouding his judgment. Player says I suppose I could have a word with him. I'm not sure what good it would do. Ulrich says we must try, Andreas. These men are fair and hard-working, but they've been pushed down for too long. They're becoming desperate, and desperate men can forget their faith and turn to violence. Option 1 of 2 it won't really come to that, will it? Option 2 of 2 what if violence is the only language the abbot understands? Option 1 of 2 it won't really come to that, will it? Ulrich says perhaps not, but I don't want to take that chance, and there's no need to. There is no reason why the abbot cannot come to a good and Christian accord with the people of Tassing. Maybe it's only pride that's standing in the abbot's way. I hope that your counsel and God's light can touch his heart. Option 1 of 3 I don't know the abbot's business, but if he's doing this for money, I may not be able to persuade him. Option 2 of 3 I will do what I can, Ulrich. Option 3 of 3 I can't promise anything. Option 1 of 3 I don't know the abbot's business, but if he's doing this for money, I may not be able to persuade him. Ulrich says we can only hope that love for his fellow man holds greater sway in his heart than a desire for gold. Thank you and God bless you, Andreas. Ulrich. God bless you, Andreas. And settle down. Master Brett. Ulrich. Settle down. Elm Avery. Mountain. Town House. Church and Purpose. Settle down. Jordan House. Martin. Mill. Thomas. Thomas says God bless you, Andreas. Mill. Forest. Somebody's home. Forest. Lower Abbey. Upper Abbey. Lower Abbey. Matthew. Matthew says Andreas. Player says brother Matthew. What are you doing out here? What is all this commotion? Matthew says Father Gernot has asked me to inform the townsfolk that the shrine is closed. Option 1 of 3 closed? With everything going on? Whatever for? Option 2 of 3 has something happened to the shrine? Option 3 of 3 you can't just close the shrine of St. Moritz. Option 1 of 3 closed? With everything going on? Whatever for? Matthew says Father Gernot has ordered the relic be brought into the church. The pilgrims are welcome to come visit the relic, but the townsfolk are prohibited from seeing it. Player says what? What? Matthew says the abbot has had enough of the peasants and townsfolk rebelling against the abbey. As their rightful lord, he has been more than generous, but he cannot let their heretical talk of the 12 articles pass. The abbot, under my advice, brought the relic inside to protect it from destruction. With the library closure, the abbey relies on the shrine now more than ever. Option 1 of 4 How long will the shrine stay closed? Option 2 of 4 Tassing depends on St. Moritz just as much as the abbey. What about the faith of the townsfolk? Option 3 of 4 So this is about money? The pilgrims bring donations, but the townsfolk don't? Option 4 of 4 So he's punishing the town further? Option 2 of 4 Tassing depends on St. Moritz just as much as the abbey. What about the faith of the townsfolk? Matthew says if the townsfolk demonstrate their faith by walking away from such heretical behavior, I'm sure the abbot will restore the hand. The abbot will protect the relic for as long as he needs to. Nothing more. Option 1 of 3 what about the peasants' complaints? Option 2 of 3 I somehow doubt that's the only thing on his. Option 3 of 3 No1 wants to destroy the hand of St. Moritz, Matthew. The abbot is a cruel man, and you're no better, defending him. Matthew says I will do my duty as my vows and my Lord command me, Andrea. God bless you. Lower Abbey, Matthew. Lower Abbey, Shrine, Matthew. Shrine, Convent Garden. Upper Abbey, Convent Loquarium. Convent Garden. Convent Garden. Convent Loquarium. Marguerite. Marguerite says, hello? Who's there? Player says hello, Sister Marguerite. It's Andreas Mailer, the artist. Marguerite says oh. Master Mailer. Mother Illuminata said you'd returned. Is there someone else with you? Player says yes, my apprentice, Casper. Casper says hello. Marguerite says God bless you, Casper. You smell even more of paint than your master. Casper says Option 1 of 3 Sister Marguerite is blind. She relies on her other senses, Casper. Option 2 of 3 Be polite, Casper. Sister Marguerite can't see. Option 3 of 3 Remain silent. Option 1 of 3 Sister Marguerite is blind. She relies on her other senses, Casper. Casper says oh. Thank you. Marguerite says haha. You're funny, anyway, I should go. Mother Illuminata doesn't like it when we're distracted from our duties. Player says of course. Until later, sister. Marguerite says God bless you, Master Mailer. And you too, Casper. Marguerite, God bless you, Master Mailer. Pet Moss Fanger. Pet Moss Fanger, Marguerite. Come with Marguerite. Come with Marguerite. Chef Lower Church. Cloister. In Church. Cloister. Okay. Century. Old Bailey. Old Bailey. Player says the scriptorium fell into disrepair quickly after Father Gernot closed the library. Old Bailey. Zidana says oh, Andreas. You're back. Option 1 of 3 HELLO, Sister Zidana. Option 2 of 3 YO you seem surprised to see me. Option 3 of 3 AND you're still here. Option 2 of 3 YO you seem surprised to see me. Zidana says only surprised at how much you've grown in stature. A master artist now, I see, you know, I've grown as well. In a variety of ways. Option 1 of 3 OH? You'll have to show me sometime. Option 2 of 3 Sister, that night was just that, one night. Option 3 of 3 UH, Sister Zidana, I appreciate your interest, but... Option 1 of 3 OH? You'll have to show me sometime. Zidana says ugh, Andreas. I'm not indulging you again. Option 1 of 2 indulging me? You practically threw yourself at me. Option 2 of 2 WAIT, was it that bad? Zidana says ha. No, it wasn't. But what happened afterward was bothersome. Thank God Sister Gertrude knows her plants. Player says I don't. You fell pregnant. Zidana says SHH. Yes. Thankfully Sister Gertrude helped me end it before a fortnight had passed, so the fetus was yet unformed. Option 1 of 4 I am sorry I put you in that position. Option 2 of 4 at least nothing really terrible came of the matter. Option 3 of 4 convenient. I don't need rumors about how I sired a bastard from a nun. Option 4 of 4 good. No risk of killing a formed child then, as Augustine taught. Option 1 of 4 I am sorry I put you in that position. Zidana says I chose that path as much as you did, Andreas. I'm living with the consequences. If Sister Gertrude's remedy hadn't worked, I would have been defrocked, and my family would have disowned me. I nearly lost everything. All for one stupid fling with you. I was sick for days on end, and still have terrible cramps, but still, it's not as bad as it could have been. Option 2 of 3 I expected that you would have been aware of the risk. Option 1 of 3 I am grateful Sister Gertrude was able to keep you well. Option 2 of 3 I expected that you would have been aware of the risk. Option 3 of 3 remain silent. Option 1 of 3 I am grateful Sister Gertrude was able to keep you well. Zidana says me too. Ah, that was a good night. I still remember Mother Illuminata's face. Option 1 of 2 her expression was illuminating. Option 2 of 2 I was certainly as shocked as she was. Option 1 of 2 her expression was illuminating. Zidana says oh, God, Andreas. You should have heard the tongue wagging she gave me afterward. Quite impressive. It's good to see you again, Andreas. Player says likewise, Sister. Zidana says. I should return to my duties. Thank you for speaking with me. Player says until later. Zidana. Zidana says greetings, Master Mailer. Library. Illuminata. Illuminata says God bless you, Andreas. It has been too long. No doubt your work has carried you far from Nuremberg, but we had hoped to hear from you from time to time. Player says yes, my apologies. You're right, of course. Option 1 of 2 It's good to see you again, Mother Illuminata. This is my apprentice, Caspar Ziegler. Option 2 of 2 God Day, Mother Illuminata. This is my apprentice, Caspar Ziegler, from Salzburg. Option 1 of 2 It's good to see you again, Mother Illuminata. This is my apprentice, Caspar Ziegler, from Salzburg. Caspar says God bless you, Mother Superior. Illuminata says God bless you, young Caspar. Zidana says no greeting for your favorite library helper? Option 1 of 2 Sister Zidana. Option 2 of 2 It's good to see you, sister. Zidana says you as well. Illuminata says I'm sorry you have to see it in such a state. It sees very little use these days. Player says what happened? Illuminata says after Baron Rothvogel's murder, we had fewer and fewer wealthy patrons. The small number that held out lost interest. It's easier to commission new work from the Guild of St. Luke or individual masters in big cities like Nuremberg. Father Gernot saw no reason to keep the scriptorium or library open. Most of the books here have been suffering of neglect. After Mother Cecilia's death, neither I nor Sister Zidana had the time to maintain our inventory. Option 1 of 3 That's terrible. Kiersau was one of the last monastic scriptoria in Bavaria. Option 2 of 3 Piero did say it was going to happen sooner or later. Option 3 of 3 I would have guessed it was unprofitable years ago. Illuminata says you're not wrong. Without patrons like Baron Rothvogel, even Father Matthias would have been forced to close the scriptorium. As Brother Piero was fond of saying, all things change in time. Now all that remains are books for sale to interested parties, a task that Father Gernot has entrusted to me, Zidana says. Illuminata says and Sister Zidana, of course. Option 1 of 2 Well, I'm eager to look through your inventory. Option 2 of 2 I don't even know where to start. Option 1 of 2 Well, I'm eager to look through your inventory. Caspar says Master Andreas, maybe you could find a book for little Magdalene, something that's not in print yet. Player says excellent idea, Caspar. Illuminata. Illuminata says take your time. Make sure you've looked through the whole collection. Illuminata. Read. Player says Partival. Perhaps Klaus would not object to this romance given its emphasis on Christian virtues. The German is a little dated, but I'm sure she'll figure it out with Klaus' help. Who knows? Maybe it will inspire her imagination. Illuminata. Read. Player says hey. I think these are Latin translations of some of Origen's homilies. Also it looks like it's partially burned. Probably not a great gift for a young G. Wait. This is the same bookhand as the notes I found when the Baron was murdered. Whoever wrote this is responsible for writing the notes. I need to ask Illuminata about this. Read. Player says a copy of Jacobus of Origen's Golden Legend. Every good Christian should know the legends of the saints. And the Latin is simple enough that she should be able to read it before long. Read. Player says oh. Richard de Barry's Philobiblon. It's a text on the collection and preservation of books. Maybe this is where Illuminata and Cecilia learned all their tricks. Certainly a good book for a printer's daughter. Read. Player says Albertus Magnus de Animalibus. It's ostensibly a bestiary, but it contains so much more knowledge on a variety of topics. This could inspire an interest in animals and the natural world. Beautiful illustrations as well. Illuminata. Illuminata. Illuminata says, have you decided on any books to purchase? Player says yes, just one. Option 1 of 4 The copy of Albertus Magnus de Animalibus. Option 2 of 4 Jacobus de Voragines Golden Legend. Option 3 of 4 I saw a lovely partival I'd like to buy. Option 4 of 4 The Philobiblon. Option 3 of 4 Illuminata says a romance, Andreas. I'm a bit surprised. Zedina says I'm not. Illuminata says yes, well, it's yours if you want it, of course. Player says it's for Klaus Drucker's daughter, Magdalene. Illuminata says that's even less appropriate, but not my concern. I hope she enjoys it. Is there anything else you need? Player says yes. Mother Illuminata, what do you know about this book? Illuminata says I don't know anything. This is the first time I've seen it. Zedina says I've seen it on one of the lower shelves. I don't think it's in our catalog. Player says it's burned around the edges. Why? How can I find out where it came from? Who wrote it? Illuminata says if it's not in our catalog, I'm afraid I don't know whom you could ask. If it was a recent edition, the only people who would know are Mother Cecilia and Father Matthias. Option 1 of 2 RIGHT, and I didn't bring any books for summoning. Option 2 of 2 that's a shame, because whoever scribed this book wrote the letters I found while investigating the Baron's murder. Illuminata says the ones in the fine book hand? Brother Edoc told me about them. Perhaps he knows something about this book. He's been here longer than any of us. Zedina says why would the person who wrote the letters have scribed a book in our library? Player says well, that's the question. Whoever did it is the thread puller. Casper says hey? Player says someone who was manipulating people at Kiersaw and Tassing, pulling at threads to provoke someone into killing the Baron. Casper says I thought the town stonemason killed the Baron. Player says he did, but the Baron was lured to the chapter house by someone who knew Kiersaw and Tassing's secrets. Illuminata says well, I'm afraid we can't be of any more help to you in determining the book's provenance. However, as it's not in our catalog and it's already damaged, I doubt Father Abbot would mind if you kept it. Player says excellent. Thank you. I'm glad someone bothered to save it from the flames. Illuminata. Illuminata says God bless you, Andreas. Gertrude says God bless you, Andreas. Welcome back to Kiersaw. Player says thank you, Sister Gertrude. All of Tassing seems to know I'm here. Gertrude says haha. You're a big man in a small town, Andreas. Word travels fast. Besides, Mossfanger tells me everything that goes on in Kiers. Casper says who's Mossfanger? Gertrude says our convent cat, and an excellent rat catcher. Option 1 of 2 she's always wandering about. You'll see her sometime, Casper. Option 2 of 2 and an excellent gossip too. Option 1 of 2 she's always wandering about. You'll see her sometime, Casper. Casper says I don't like cats. They hiss and scratch. Gertrude says oh, Mossfanger's harmless if you're not pilfering the garden or cellar. She's gotten as plump as me in her later years. Player says until later. Gertrude says bless you, Andreas. Bless Gertrude. Lisbeth. Lisbeth says God bless you, Master Mailer. Player says God bless you, Sister Lisbeth. Is working for Mother Illuminata very different from working for Mother Cecilia? Lisbeth says my duties remain the same, regardless of who the prioress is. Option 1 of 3 While you are very devoted to the prioress, sister. Surely you've noticed some changes. Option 2 of 3 Don T tell me you haven't noticed any differences, sister. Option 3 of 3 While you were Mother Cecilia's assistant for so long. Didn't you want to become prioress? Lisbeth says I am happy in my position, Master Mailer. Player says you weren't jealous? At all. Lisbeth says jealousy does not befit a Benedictine. I have renounced that sin. As long as I may serve my God, I willingly serve in any position the prioress would ask. May it bring glory to God. I must return to my duties. God bless you, Master Mailer. Player says and you, sister. Lisbeth. Lisbeth says God, Convent Garden. Magdalene. Magdalene says, Klaus. Klaus says you're back. Good, we're almost ready to sit down to eat. Would you and Casper care to join? Player says of course. Thank you, Klaus. Klaus says welcome back, Andreas. Andreas, these are my friends, Benjamin and Rachel Sommerfeld. They're on their way back to Prague. Benjamin says good day. Rachel says hello. Excuse me for not getting up. It's a bit difficult. Player says of course, I understand. It's nice to meet you both. Casper says hello. Magdalene says BPFFTBRRRRRR. Hello. Player says that sounded like a real word, Klaus. Klaus says she's learning more of them every day. She'll be reading before long. Player says that's a wonderful segue to the gift that I've brought her. Klaus says oh. Option 1 of 3 Consider it a small apology. Option 2 of 3 A book from the Abbey Library. Option 3 of 3 When is her birthday? Klaus says later this month. Player says see? It's perfect. Klaus says Partival. I'm sure she'll love this. Option 1 of 2 I hope she does. Option 2 of 2 It might make some good bedtime reading until she can read it on her own. Option 1 of 2 I hope she does. Klaus says thanks for this. It's a nice thought. We should probably pray before we eat, assuming the Sommerfelds don't mind. Benjamin says not at all. We're accustomed to being guests in Christian homes. Rachel says thank you for asking, Klaus. Klaus says all right. I'll lead the prayer, then. Bless us, O Lord, and these, your gifts, which we are about to receive from your bounty, through Christ, our Lord. Casper. Magdalene says Amen. Player says Amen. Rachel says Klaus, thank you again for letting us stay here. It's been such a long trip. Oh. Benjamin says is it time? Rachel says no, I'm fine, I think. I'm just sore everywhere. Anyway, we'd hoped to get home weeks ago, but the fighting has made it slow progress from Basel. Option 1 of 3 Is your home in Prague? Option 2 of 3 Basel? Tassing is hardly on the way to Prague. Option 3 of 3 Has the fighting come close? Option 2 of 3 Basel? Tassing is hardly on the way to Prague. Benjamin says we'd rather not get caught up in battles between the Swabian League and peasants, so we've taken a strange route. We were in Basel to do some business, but we didn't want to overstay our welcome. Player says yes, unfortunately I witnessed their intolerance for Jews when I spent my wander jar there. Benjamin says oh. Are you familiar with the printer Johann Froben? Player says how could I not be? He's turned Basel into the pride of Swiss printing. He has incredible artists working for him. Benjamin says all true, and we certainly don't mind that he publishes books in Hebrew. Rachel says that's why we visited. Benjamin and I are creating a Hebrew type for him. Benjamin says it turns out that when your town banishes all the Jews, you have a more difficult time finding Jews to work for you. Rachel says who could have guessed? I just wish it hadn't taken us so long to get home. We have so far to go still. Klaus says it's lucky timing for me, though. Now I have 2 printers and master artist at my dinner table. Rachel says true. It isn't all misfortune. Magdalene says daddy. Klaus says oh, yes, thank you. And a future printer and baby printer to be. Tassing hasn't seen this many artists under one roof in a while. Option 1 of 3. It's amazing to see how far printing has come so quickly. Some of the engravings I've seen are incredible. Option 2 of 3. WHAT have you been working on in Prague? Option 3 of 3. WELL, the skills for printing and painting are not that similar. Option 1 of 3. It's amazing to see how far printing has come so quickly. Some of the engravings I've seen are incredible. Klaus says and new techniques, new types, new styles are being developed every year. Rachel says Benjamin is trying to create a more readable script for Yiddish. Benjamin says we have typefaces for Hebrew, but it would be nice to have something separate for Yiddish. Option 1 of 3. HOW novel. Option 2 of 3. THAT could be useful for printing parallel text translations of the Bible. Option 3 of 3. Is there much demand for that? Option 2 of 3. THAT could be useful for printing parallel text translations of the Bible. Benjamin says I hadn't thought of that, though our women read Yiddish and they don't study scripture. Rachel says yet. Benjamin says hat. Don't let Rabbi Hayath hear you say that. I'd like our writing to be more accessible, especially to those who only read Yiddish. Benjamin says here, something like this. I'll be sure to send you some samples when I'm finished. Klaus says good. I'd like th. Rachel says oaf. Benjamin says. Rachel says I'm. Yes, I'm fine. Klaus, what are you working on? Klaus says I need to get ready to sell to travelers as the passes open, but lately I've been printing the 12 articles for the town. Magdalene says 12 articles. Klaus says thanks to Father Thomas, everyone in town can read at least well enough to make it through that sheet. It's got a lot of people talking and a lot are coming over to Otto's way of thinking. Well, you heard him yourself, Andreas. What do you think of what's happening in Tassing? Option 1 of 3. I think the abbot is in a difficult position and he's just trying to find a way through it. Option 2 of 3. The abbey's finances were bad 7 years ago. Even the scriptorium was largely reliant on the grace and pity of wealthy patrons. Option 3 of 3. The abbot's always been an ass. What do you expect? Option 2 of 3. The abbey's finances were bad 7 years ago. Even the scriptorium was largely reliant on the grace and pity of wealthy patrons. Player says I don't see any new businesses operating out of Kiersau, so I'm not surprised the abbot has found himself here. Klaus says I don't disagree, but the brunt of the abbey's expenses have become the peasants' responsibility to pay. The abbot could try to appeal to the bishop, maybe the Duke of Bavaria. The abbot could try and appeal to the bishop, or even the Duke of Bavaria. I wonder if he has considered getting another patron like Lawrence. That could reduce the burden for taxation. Option 1 of 4. WHO? The Pope? The Duke of Bavaria may lend him military aid, but money is unlikely. Option 2 of 4. He could try to sit down with Otto and work something out. Option 3 of 4. This is the problem with mixing temporal and religious authority. Option 4 of 4. That's not really how it works. The abbot is the lord of the land and owes money to his superiors. Klaus says well the people in this town are spent. There must be some treasures the abbot could sell to find what he needs. Select food item to apple pie. Benjamin says we're sympathetic to what's happening here. We saw it all throughout Swabia. Peasants are suffering. Rachel says it's true, but I worry about what will happen in Tassing. Ow. Benjamin says. Rachel says I'm fine. Peasants are no match for the soldiers of the Swabian League. Casper says what is the Swabian League? Option 1 of 3 soldiers of the Swabian nobility, meant to keep peace in the empire. Option 2 of 3 mercenaries, soldiers for hire. They rally for coin, not for cause. Option 3 of 3 bastards who think they can crush people for the crime of standing up for themselves. Option 2 of 3 mercenaries, soldiers for hire. They rally for coin, not for cause. Benjamin says we can't speak to their motives, as we tried to stay far from them, but they were intimidating even at a distance. Rachel says if the peasants aren't careful, Tassing could draw the wrong sort of attention. Klaus says I know that Otto and the peasants are taking a risk, but I believe Otto will keep things peaceful. Anyway, it's not the Swabian League we have to worry about, but the soldiers of the Duke of Bavaria. Magdalene says Bavaria. Klaus says the Prince Bishop has the church's authority, but the Duke's lands surround Tassing and Kiersaw. Select food item to eat. Mushroom pottage. Player says. Option 1 of 4 CLAUS, I'm sorry for showing up yesterday without writing. You had every right to be angry. Option 2 of 4 CLAUS, I wanted to apologize for never writing back. I was so caught up in work, you know how it is, and I never got around to it. Option 3 of 4 CLAUS, I'm sorry for never writing back. What happened here in Tassing, at Kiersaw? I just wanted to forget it. Option 4 of 4 CLAUS, I'm sorry for what happened to your family, and I'm sorry I never wrote back. Option 2 of 4 CLAUS, I wanted to apologize for never writing back. I was so caught up in work, you know how it is, and I never got around to it. Player says by the time I got to your letters, so much time had gone by after Bert and Marie had passed. I'm sorry. Benjamin says. Rachel says. Casper says. Klaus says Select food item white bread. Magdalene says pfffff. Rachel says ow. Oh, this is it. This is it. Benjamin says oh, no, I was afraid of this. We can't travel now. This is all my fault. We should have left Basel earlier. Rachel says I love you, Benjamin, but be quiet. I don't care. I need help. Benjamin says yes. We need a midwife. Is there one who would accept Rachel? Option 1 of 2 Agnes Steinauerin. She's Tassing's midwife. Option 2 of 2 I could fetch Dr. Stalls. Option 1 of 2 Agnes Steinauerin. She's Tassing's midwife. Benjamin says could you get her? Option 1 of 2 I think it would be best if I didn't. She doesn't like me. Option 2 of 2 CLAUS. Option 1 of 2 I think it would be best if I didn't. She doesn't like me. Klaus says yes, I should get her. Agnes has delivered every child in Tassing as long as I can remember. She would never turn any woman away. Benjamin says thank you, thank you, thank you. Klaus, you're a mensch. Rachel says enough with the thanks, get me the midwife. Klaus says yes. Andreas, you're forgiven. Casper, it was good to have you over, but you both have to leave. Option 1 of 2 OF course. Option 2 of 2 THANKU, Klaus. Player says good luck, Rachel. Rachel says thank you. I'll need it. Klaus says I'll go fetch Agnes. Thank you for joining us, Andreas. Oh, I almost forgot. You should go see the bonfire preparations in the town commons. You missed them on your last visit. Rachel says Klaus. Klaus says I'm going. Player says thank you, Klaus. We'll be going. Klaus says take care. Drucker House.